Hi everybody, Clark Smith here. I'm the winemaker for WineSmith, and today I'm going to talk about my 2019 Santa Cruz Mountain Grenache from the Bates Vineyard. Now, some of you may have heard of the Bates Vineyard. It's very famous for its Cabernet Sauvignon, but not very many people know that we make Grenache there too. And I work with viticulturist Prudy Fox, and we're thick as thieves, and she loves what I'm able to do with this, and I love what she's able to accomplish in this wonderful vineyard. This is in the Santa Cruz Mountains, which I consider the best region for winemaking in California. I don't think Napa and Sonoma can hold a candle to it. Nobody ever goes there because it's mountainous, and you tend to get car sick, but I'm up for it. Now, what can I tell you? This Grenache, we've been making it since 2014, and I have to tell you, I was sort of in despair about the 14. It just didn't taste very good when it was young, and that's a characteristic of these minerally soils that they have down there. And as you may know from some of my Lake County wines that are also very minerally, is it takes them quite a while to come around. And so, as I said, I was sort of in despair about the 14, but then in 17 it had gotten so good that I ended up pouring it at my wedding. And ever since 17, we've been able to show this on casemates for International Grenache Day, which is coming up the day after tomorrow on September 16th. So this is the 19, and you know, we've been learning more and more about how this vineyard behaves and how the wines behave. When they're young, they have hardly any color, and then they just get darker and darker. It's very interesting. They sort of age backwards that way, and it takes them about 3 years before they're really ready to go. And this one's exactly 3 years old. So let's see what we have here. You can see the color is not deep dark. It's sort of like what you'd expect from a Pinot Noir. And it'll get darker from here. The other thing we learned is you can't blend anything with it. If I were to put a little Petit Verdot, for example, to improve the color, even 1% just destroys the very interesting, delicate aromas that we have here that I think are very similar to the garrigue that they talk about in the south of France. So anyway, there you are. The color does have a somewhat mature bricky edge to it, but not to worry, these wines age extremely well. Well, those of you that have heard me talk about the sparkling wine that we make from this, here again we're seeing, of course, strawberries, because Grenache always has a lot of strawberries in it. That vineyard characteristic is kind of a ripe muskmelon, but even more standing out here, the first thing it gets you is this sort of carob-like garrigue. It's earthy and rustic, and just adds a whole lot of complexity that you normally don't see in a Grenache. Grenache will be different every place you grow it, and this one is very distinctive. We found out what that smell comes from. One of our harvest partners, we went up to the vineyard in 2018, and he noticed that inside the vineyard and across the road there was this meadow. It was full of these white flowers, and when you rub your hand on the stem, it's sort of like creosote, and so that evaporates into the air and it gets in the wax cuticle of the grape, and we end up with this. The flower is called tarweed. You can look it up. So, and as I said, a very intriguing nose. More tannin than you would expect from the color. There's a rustic, firm tannin here. Not very much alcohol, and so it has a long, long finish that just sort of plays around with these fruity and earthy characters for a long, long time. What is the alcohol in this stuff anyway? Yeah, 13.0. Well, I think that's one of the best ones we've ever made. Although I do think it's coming along a little quicker than the 18, which we featured last year on Grenache Day. And so this one may be the one to drink up now while you're waiting for the 18 to come around. And thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you online.